Hi, Teresa, or Teresa, as the case may be. Um, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. Hello. And this is your singer, Genie. This is the final test before we pack her up and ship her out to you. And in this test, we're going to go over the various operations of the machine, how to set the different settings. So to start, you want to remove your cover. Nice hard case protective cover. Nice feature. There's a button on top, which is your release. So you push that button down, and then this, push the button down, and this flap folds down like this. And then the whole thing just slides off. And inside of this case is where you store your foot control and cords. This is your power on button here. This is your stitch. Let's see. This is your stitch length. This is your stitch width. This is your needle position. You can set it so your needle home position is to the far left, to the center, or to the far right. And that really only applies if you're doing decorative top stitching, as far as I know. But then what do I know? I'm not a seamstress. I'm a technician. And we'll go over all of that in more depth. But stitch width, needle position. This is your stitch pattern selector. You have your regular straight and zigzag stitch is on the far. Okay, make sure that works. Is on the far right. Not sure what that squiggle means. It's like a variable stitch zigzag. Weird. Anyway, this is your. I think it's a kind of a stretch stitch. It's not a reverse stitch like on some machines, but it's a multi-stitch zigzag, as in every zig and every zag has multiple stitches in it. And on the far left is your blind stitch, which is what I was last doing. This is your thread tension. This is your tension device here. Thread spool, bobbin winder. And we're going to start by winding a bobbin. So to wind a bobbin, find your bobbin down here below the slide plate, and there's no bobbin case for this one. You just drop it right in. Let me get this old thread off of here. Never makes sense to wind over old thread. It's just more of a laziness than a thrift sort of operation. So you put your thread spool on the spool pin, go around the bobbin winder tension in a clockwise direction. So you're crossing back over the thread as you come back to your bobbin winder, and that adds just a little more tension to keep your bobbin thread neat and tidy. So you want to put a few wraps on the bobbin to hold the thread in place while it winds. I suspect that that's not really a hole I'm poking at there. I think that's just a dimple. Anyway, the way I do it is I put the thread through one of the little holes from the inside to the out, then hold it in place and just put a few wraps on the bobbin to hold the thread in place while it winds. And then with the thread coming around from the back in a clockwise direction, You put it on the bobbin winder, this spool here, and then you slide the whole thing back towards the hand wheel, and you'll see there's a little device inside here, or sticking up here, that detects when the bobbin is full, and it pushes the bobbin away from the hand wheel so it stops winding, so you don't get a mess of thread. Anyway, slide your bobbin over towards the hand wheel, and rather than turning the center knob to declutch the machine like on a lot of sewing machines, you'll see that the inside of the hand wheel has a disc in it, and there's a little icon here of a bobbin. Push it in at that point, and it goes kind of crookwise. And that, Scrappy, that was me. I made that. Oh, little dog loves to chase flies. When you push it in here at the little bobbin icon, it disconnects the hand wheel from the rest of the machine so that the hand wheel can spin the bobbin without making the rest of the machine cycle. And then you just give it a little gas, and away we go. No reason to go fast. It's making a nice, neat bobbin there. That's probably enough for our test. So push the bobbin away from the bobbin winder stop. Reclutch your machine just by straightening that little inner knob out. And with the thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, you're going to drop it into the bobbin case, and then take the thread all the way over to the far right side of the front of the bobbin here. And you'll see where the little metal guide ends. But you guide your thread in behind that little metal edge, and that's your bobbin tension. Pull it all the way over until it clicks, and you'll feel just a little more drag on your thread. Then, making sure that the thread's not pinched somewhere, you leave it dangling out there, and we'll thread the machine by putting the spool on the spool pin. And this is something you have to pay attention to because it's way different from most machines. There's a little thread guide down here, and you want to go behind from the bottom around that thread guide, then over the top of the tension assembly, and then you pull down until the thread goes into the little notch down there. You'll feel it click into place, and then your thread is, when you pull down on it, you'll see it move the little spring there. I'm going to do it one more time just so it's clear. Go under this guide here, over the top between the tension discs, and you catch this little thin check spring here, and you may have to hold your thread, put a finger on it or something as you pull down, and you'll feel the thread click in behind the little anyway, you'll feel it click into place. And now the thread is right. I do speak English most of the time. Okay, from there you go down to the big thread guide below the tension assembly, then up to your take-up lever, and through from right to left. There's a thread guide here, and you go in from the side. There's a thread guide down here, it's just a slot. You go into it from this front, or from the end there, and then you go through your needle from the front towards the back of the machine. Make sure you have a nice clean end on it, because if you have little frayed ends, makes it difficult to make it go through the eye of the needle. There. That wasn't as hard as I make it look. Okay, and now holding your needle thread loosely, you're going to turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution, and the needle will take the thread down where the hook will pick it up and wrap it around the bobbin and bring up your lower thread. So here's your lower thread kind of dangling there. You'll feel that click as it re-engages the hand wheel. So one full revolution towards you, and as it comes up, there's your lower thread. Put your thread between the toes of the presser foot towards the back of the machine, and you're ready to sew. And what fabric do we have? I think this fabric is what it's going to show up on best. Lower your presser foot using the lever on the back of the machine. And give it a little gas, and away you go. Right now it's, as I said, in the blind stitch mode. Needle is in the center position. It's set for zigzag wide width. Gas, and you'll notice that every few stitches it makes a zig and a zag. That's a blind stitch. So let's go on here. Okay. I just had it apart, so something's obviously pinched there. I'll go back in and make sure that that's working like it's supposed to before I send it out to you. Okay, I had to go back and reevaluate this thing because the stitch pattern selector was not moving. Being a master technician, however, there was no problem whatsoever to get it working like it's supposed to. So we're going to sew a straight stitch first. So I'm going to put the pattern selector all the way to the right in the zigzag position, but remove all of the stitch width so it's not zigging or zagging, and that is your straight stitch. Okay. Now I'm going to add some stitch width, and we'll sew a zigzag. And I better slow down just a little bit so I don't break the thread. I could back off a little bit on the tension and go a little bit faster, but I'm in no hurry, and it makes a tidier stitch if you take your time. Big fingers. There we go. maybe I better take off just a little bit of tension there. Okay. Thread between the toes of the presser foot. I'll go back to the point where I broke the thread, not being in too big of a hurry, and you start right there. Okay, zigging and zagging, a little more leisurely. Okay, nice looking zigzag, well balanced. I suspect that this variable stitch width is done from here. And bear with me if I mess up here. Excuse me, because I'm not positive that that's how this works. So let's see. Yeah, that's what it is. See, so you can do other fancy stitch patterns with it. If you take it down to a little closer stitch length, you may need to put on a satin stitch foot so your thread doesn't ball up under the presser foot. But if you don't go too far into the short stitch length, it should be all right. And now as I operate the stitch width, I'll be able to make fancy patterns like let's do a ball pattern. Arrowhead pattern. That sort of thing. You get the idea. Yeah, you can do all sorts of cool stuff with that. And then we'll do a blind stitch, which is of course all the way to the left. Full zigzag width, and here we go. Okay. Nice blind stitch. That's that. Fixed. And now I'm just going to cut the video and slip this little bit in. So if it looks a little bit incongruous, that's why. But I tried all the stitches and they all work real nice. Your tension, you can see that it's numbered here, and usually around 3 is about the ballpark amount of tension for a regular thread and regular sewing. If you sew different weights of fabric, different thread, you'll probably have to adjust it a little bit up or down, but just adjust it in tiny increments until the thread on the back looks the same as the thread on the front. No big loops, not pulled tight. Stitch length, pretty self-explanatory. It's marked from 20 stitches per inch down to 6 stitches per inch. 20 stitches per inch being the shortest and 6 stitches per inch being the longest. Going up from there, your stitches also get longer and longer, but in reverse. Oh wait, no, maybe not on this machine. I think up in here might be your satin stitch area where the threads are just super close together, and you have to use a special foot that's got a channel along the bottom that doesn't get stuck as the thread humps up when they're that close together. because without a satin stitch foot, there's a good chance that your fabric is not going to move, and the thread will just ball up under the needle plate, and you'll have to stop and cut it out and rethread. You don't want to do that in the middle of a project. So that's about it. You plug in here, obviously, in the back, and I can't think of anything else to tell you about this machine except that it's a really awesome little machine. The full rotary bobbin really makes a nice, even, clean stitch. Better than the ones that oscillate back and forth. Just in a nice little spiral. So, that's all I can tell you. We'll get her, make sure this thing's working like it's supposed to, and then I'll get her packed up and ship her out to you. And I think you two are going to have a very nice and pleasant relationship. Many years of happy sewing. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate your support in what we do, and I'll get this video off to you. So this is your Singer Genie. To put her away, turn it off. I probably have to take your spool off the top. I guess not necessarily, but when you put it away, you probably want to put your spool pin down anyway. Tuck your foot control and cords into the bottom here. And then you just slide her on. Make sure your lifter is down. Now slide it on and put the top up, and you're good to go.